We're counting down the 10 UK Scotch brands every whiskey drinker should think twice before buying. From budget bottles filling supermarket shelves to household names built for mass-market mixing, we uncovered the shortcuts these brands employ, ranging from high grain content and rapid maturation to filtration methods that strip away flavour. Some may be in your cupboard right now, but only a few deserve a place in any serious collection. Which Scotch lands at the top of the avoid at all costs list, and how can you pick a safer pour? Let's begin with number 10. Bell's Original dominates UK supermarket shelves, selling over 1.3 million hectolitres each year at a price that rarely tops £16. Behind the familiar label sits a blend built for one thing: scale. Nearly 9 out of 10 drops in the bottle come from grain whiskey, with the malt content dialed so low it barely registers. The youngest spirit in the mix is just 3 years old, the legal minimum, and the entire batch is forced through chill filtration at 7 degrees Celsius. This process strips away natural oils, leaving a whiskey that tastes as thin as it looks. Enthusiast panels routinely score Bell's at the bottom. One blind test gave it 12 out of 100 for flavour. For many, this is the definition of a cupboard filler. Cheap, bland, and engineered for mixers, not for sipping. On any risk scale, Bell's sets the baseline for what to avoid. Famous Grouse sits on nearly every supermarket shelf and behind countless pub bars across the UK. It's the nation's top-selling blended Scotch, moving over 1 million hectolitres each year. The formula is simple: keep the taste consistent, no matter what. That means 78% of what's in the bottle is grain whiskey, with just enough malt to meet the legal minimum. The youngest drop is aged only 3.6 years, leaving little time for real character to develop. Each batch is chill filtered at 8 degrees Celsius, stripping away the oils that could give it richness. At around £18 a bottle, it's priced to move, not to impress. Enthusiast panels routinely give it a flavour score of just 15 out of 100. For many, Famous Grouse is less a whiskey and more a background actor, reliable for a cheap mixer, but flat and forgettable when sipped neat. Grant's Triple Wood arrives with a label that sounds like a masterclass in aging, but the reality is more marketing than mastery. The so-called Triple Wood process is designed to distract from what's actually in the bottle, a blend where grain whiskey makes up the overwhelming majority. The average spirit in this bottle is just over 4 years old, barely above the legal minimum, and it's filtered at a brisk 6 degrees Celsius to keep the look clear for supermarket shelves. Each year, nearly 900,000 hectolitres of this blend hit the UK market, priced around £16.50, a number that makes sense when you taste the result. The engineered smoothness is less about complexity and more about hiding youthful harshness. Enthusiast panels aren't fooled, handing Grant's Triple Wood a flavour score of just 18 out of 100. For those chasing value, the risk score of 84 out of 100 says it all. This is a bottle built for volume, not for character. Teacher's Highland Cream leans hard on its Scottish heritage, but the liquid in the bottle tells a different story. Nearly 7 out of every 10 parts is grain whiskey, a ratio that leaves little room for the richer malt character many drinkers expect. The youngest spirit averages just under 5 years, precisely 4.8, short on the kind of maturation that builds depth. To keep the blend clear and consistent for supermarket shelves, each batch is chill filtered at 9 degrees Celsius, stripping away the oils that would give it body. The result is a whiskey that feels thin and almost watery when sipped neat, a trait noted by countless reviewers and confirmed by a flavour score of 22 out of 100 in blind panels. Teachers moves over 800,000 hectolitres a year in the United Kingdom, often priced below £15, making it a staple in bargain bins. For those searching for richness or complexity, this bottle is more marketing than substance. Its risk score of 80 out of 100 lands it firmly at number 7 on this list. Dewar's white label holds a global passport, but in the UK, it's everywhere for a reason that has little to do with heritage. This blend is built for scale, moving 1.2 million hectolitres a year and retailing around £20. The recipe leans heavily on grain whiskey, about 66%, while the malt content takes a back seat. The youngest spirit averages 5.4 years, barely enough time to pick up depth from the cask. But what really sets Dewar's apart is its aggressive approach to chill filtration. Each batch is forced through the filter at 5 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, natural oils and fatty acids are stripped out, leaving a whiskey that's clear in the glass but thin on the palate. The result is a texture that's better suited to a highball than a slow sip, and the loss of those oils means the mouthfeel is flat, almost watery. Enthusiast panels aren't fooled, giving Dewar's white label a flavour score of 25 out of 100. For those chasing real Scotch character, this bottle lands at number 6 for a reason. Its risk score of 78 out of 100 is a warning, not an invitation. If you're looking for texture, you'll find more in a glass of water. At least the water doesn't pretend to be whiskey. J&B Rare is a fixture in UK bars, and its entire design caters to that reality. Nearly 2/3 of what's in the bottle is grain whiskey, engineered for one purpose: to disappear smoothly in a cocktail. The average spirit in J&B clocks in at just over 6 years old, a number that sounds respectable until you taste the result. The blend is chill filtered at 4.5 degrees Celsius, stripping away the oils that could have given it any real texture or weight. Each year, more than 700,000 hectolitres of J&B Rare move through UK pubs and supermarkets, with a price tag hovering around £19. The focus isn't on complexity or sipping pleasure. Instead, it's all about reliability behind the bar. Enthusiast panels have given it a flavour score of 28 out of 100, calling out its thin body and muted character. For those who want whiskey that stands up in a glass on its own, J&B Rare is a warning. This is a blend built for mixers, not for moments. Its risk score of 75 out of 100 lands it squarely at number 5. Cutty Sark wears its bargain price like a badge of honour, but what's inside the bottle tells a different story. For just £17, shoppers get a whiskey that moves over 600,000 hectolitres a year in the UK, but most of what's poured is grain spirit, over half the blend, engineered for cost, not character. The average age of the whiskey is just under 7 years, and the liquid is run through chill filtration at 6.5 degrees Celsius, stripping away any trace of natural oils that could give it weight. The result is a whiskey so light in body, it barely leaves a mark on the palate. Enthusiast panels have not been kind, handing Cutty Sark a flavour score of just 30 out of 100. This is the classic value trap. The price lures you in, but the experience is all thin grain and fleeting flavour, with malt pushed to the background. For those hoping for complexity or richness, Cutty Sark offers little more than a lesson in supermarket economics. Affordable, yes, but at a risk score of 73 out of 100, it's a bottle that's best left on the shelf. William Lawson sits in the bargain aisle, promising a bold Scotch experience for just £14. But what's poured into the glass is another matter entirely. This blend relies on 60% grain whiskey, enough to drown out any subtle malt notes and leave the spirit dominated by a raw, high-alcohol punch. The average age of the whiskey inside is 7.5 years, but that number does little to soften its edges. Each batch is chill filtered at 4.2 degrees Celsius, stripping away what little texture might have survived the blend. The result is a whiskey that greets the palate with a sharp, almost medicinal heat, masking any hope of genuine complexity. At 500,000 hectolitres sold in the UK each year, William Lawson's has become a fixture in pubs and home bars looking for value. But the flavour score tells the story. Just 33 out of 100 from enthusiast panels. For those who judge whiskey by more than its price tag, this bottle's risk score is 70 out of 100, a flashing warning light. In the world of budget Scotch, William Lawson's is less a gentle introduction and more a test of endurance, one that leaves the tongue tingling and the taste buds wondering what just happened. Clan Campbell sits quietly on the shelves of discount retailers, but the story inside the bottle is anything but subtle. This blend is built for the bargain hunter, clocking in at just £13 for a standard bottle and moving nearly 400,000 hectolitres through UK tills each year. The formula leans hard on grain whiskey, 58% of the blend, leaving malt as a supporting act rather than the main event. Every drop in the bottle is just 3 years old, scraping the minimum maturation allowed by law. But what truly sets Clan Campbell apart is its approach to filtration. Each batch is forced through an ultra-cold chill filtration process at just 3.5 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, the whiskey loses nearly all of its natural oils, stripping away the very compounds that give Scotch its viscosity and lingering finish. What's left behind is a spirit so thin the mouthfeel borders on watery, and the flavour vanishes almost as quickly as it arrives. Enthusiast panels have given Clan Campbell a flavour score of just 35 out of 100, a number that reflects not just the lack of depth, but the impact of aggressive filtration on every sip. The short finish and absence of texture make this bottle a cautionary tale for those drawn in by heritage branding or a low price tag. With a risk score of 68 out of 100, Clan Campbell stands as the penultimate warning. When shortcuts are taken at every stage, the whiskey pays the price. Passport Scotch sits on the bottom shelf with a label that leans hard on Scottish heritage, promising tradition while delivering something else entirely. Behind the marketing, the numbers tell a different story. More than half of what's in the bottle, 55%, is grain whiskey, the cheapest spirit allowed in a blend. The youngest whiskey in the mix is just 2.9 years old, barely scraping past the legal minimum and well short of the time needed for real character to develop. To keep costs down and clarity up, the entire batch is pushed through an ultra-cold chill filtration process at 2.8 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, nearly every trace of natural oil is stripped away, leaving a whiskey that's thin, watery, and short on flavour. Passport Scotch moves around 300,000 hectolitres each year in the UK, and at a price of just £12, it's one of the most accessible bottles on the market. But accessibility comes at a cost. Blind tasting panels have given Passport a flavour score of just 38 out of 100, calling out its lack of depth and the harsh, young alcohol that dominates every sip. The bottle's heritage branding does little to hide the shortcuts inside, minimal aging, heavy grain, and the coldest filtration of any blend on this list. For drinkers who trust the label, Passport Scotch is a masterclass in how far a brand can stretch the definition of Scotch while still staying within the rules. The result is a whiskey that offers little reward for even the lowest price. Among all the blends in UK supermarkets, Passport stands out, not for quality, but for just how much it gets away with under the cover of tradition. If there's a bottle that sums up everything wrong with mass-market Scotch shortcuts, this is it. Glen Moray single malt stands out on UK shelves for all the right reasons. Here, the label means what it says. Every drop comes from malted barley, distilled and matured at the Elgin distillery in Speyside. Unlike the blends that fill most supermarket aisles, Glen Moray offers a straightforward approach. No grain whiskey, no heavy-handed blending tricks. The most widely available expressions, like the Classic and 12-year, are matured in ex-bourbon casks and bottled at 40% ABV, delivering a clean, light profile that's honest about what's inside. Glen Moray's production scale is impressive, with around 150,000 hectolitres leaving the distillery each year, but the focus remains on transparency rather than mass-market shortcuts. At a typical price of £22, it's one of the most affordable single malts in the UK, making it a realistic upgrade for anyone used to blends. Enthusiast panels give it a flavour score of about 70 out of 100. Not the most complex, but far more rewarding than any grain-heavy blend. For drinkers looking to escape the world of thin, engineered whiskey, Glen Moray is a safe bet. Straightforward, accessible, and built on malt, not marketing. Glenlivet Founders Reserve offers a different kind of reassurance for UK drinkers tired of grain-heavy blends. Every bottle is made entirely from malted barley, distilled and matured at the Glenlivet distillery in Speyside. The whiskey inside doesn't carry an age statement, but the average spirit has spent close to a decade in carefully selected oak casks, building a balanced profile that avoids the shortcuts found in cheaper blends. There's no aggressive chill filtration here. Natural oils remain, lending a gentle texture and a clean finish. Glenlivet Founders Reserve is bottled at 40% ABV, with a typical UK price around £25, making it an accessible step up for those used to mass-market Scotch. Each year, about 120,000 hectolitres are produced for the UK market. Enthusiast panels score it at 68 out of 100 for flavour, citing its soft orchard fruit notes and gentle vanilla. For anyone seeking a safe, reliable single malt that delivers real Scotch character without breaking the bank, Glenlivet Founders Reserve is a clear contender. Glenfiddich 12-year-old stands as the benchmark for accessible, single malt Scotch in the UK. Every bottle begins with pure malted barley, distilled and matured for a full 12 years in a mix of American and European oak casks. That age statement is not just for show, it is a promise that even the youngest whiskey in the bottle has had time to develop real depth and balance. Glenfiddich avoids heavy-handed filtration, preserving the natural oils that give the spirit its signature silky texture. Each year, about 200,000 hectolitres are produced, making it widely available without sacrificing quality. At around £30 a bottle, it is not out of reach for most drinkers, yet it consistently outperforms blends twice its price in blind tastings. Enthusiast panels routinely give Glenfiddich 12 a flavour score of 75 out of 100, praising its notes of fresh pear, subtle oak, and gentle spice. For anyone ready to leave behind the world of grain-heavy blends, Glenfiddich's 12-year-old is the safest upgrade. Affordable, honest, and proof that real Scotch character does not have to be rare or expensive. Across all 10 brands, one pattern becomes clear. Mass-market Scotch in the UK is engineered for price and predictability, not authentic character. The shortcuts, grain-heavy blends, rapid maturation, and aggressive filtration aren't rare exceptions. They're the industry standard. For UK drinkers, real transparency and depth are still the exception. Choosing wisely isn't just about taste, it's about demanding honesty in every glass. Which Scotch surprised you most? Let us know below.